Hello everybody and welcome to our video where we're going to be showing you how to set up Google Search Console for your website and claim ownership of it at the highest level, which is the domain level. Before we do that, we're going to talk a little about Google Search Console, why it's useful and why you should care about setting it up and using it and checking it periodically. So let's just jump right in. Some of you or a lot of you may have heard of Google Search Console. If you're involved in any sort of website work, whether you're a store owner, you're a marketer, you're a website designer, you may have just heard or of Google Search Console, and it's okay if you haven't. But Google Search Console is a free tool, and as you can probably tell from the name, right, it helps you understand how you're performing on Google Search, which is a very important source of traffic for any website. It's most often known for helping you track the keywords that people are searching to come to your website, searching on Google to come to your website, the impressions you're getting for those keywords, what clicks you're getting from what keywords, where you're showing up, where you're ranking. It's very good tool for you to be able to check that, and it's completely free. But it's not the only thing it does. It actually does other things too that are less often known. And Google does have some pretty good videos and instructions on how to use Search Console and guides. We're going to be posting links to this in the bottom. So this one here is the beginner's guide to Google Search Console. It does show you that you can verify site ownership, which we're going to show today, and shows you like some of the basic uses. One thing, for example, that a lot of people don't know is this number 4 here, for example, submitting a sitemap to Google Search Console. Right? People again often assume that Google Search Console is just those reports that show you impressions and show you keywords, but there's actually quite more to it. So submitting a sitemap is one of those things where you can actually submit, what your site looks like, from a sitemap standpoint, so that Google can more efficiently and quickly index your site and crawl it. Now they do tell you that they'll be discovered without this, right? But submitting a sitemap might speed up your site's discovery, which is a very good thing that you would want to do for SEO purposes, right? So this is something again that you can look at here. You can also monitor your site's performance. They monitor certain items, and you'll get notifications, and hey, you're not performing well from your mobile experience declined or this declined, and they do get your notifications there, and you can see trends and impressions, clicks, and others. And you can come here. They do have an advanced guide, which will put the link as well. There's other things you can do there, like check if there's any manual actions issued against your website. For whatever reason, it's not crawling and maybe not showing Google search results. You can check there, find out more info. You can actually hide pages from Google search. If you wanted to somehow hide a page from Google search, I mean, this is different than telling a crawler not to crawl via robots.txt. But if you want to hide something from Google search, you can come here, and actually there's a removals tool in it, amongst other advanced tools. Again, you can take a look at the link below, and I would recommend looking through this at least to get an idea for what it can do more broadly, beyond the whatever aspect of it that that you're familiar with. But yeah, and again, Google Search Console is it's its own tool. This is completely separate from Google Analytics, which is much different. That's code that you install on your website, and that tracks all the different channels comprehensively. Google Search Console only tracks how people are coming to you basically from Google. It's only for organic search, and that's it. Okay. So without further ado, let's jump right in to creating our Google Search Console account. So I'm going to jump right here. This is an empty account. It is not linked to any Google Search Console. So this is how yours would look like if you don't have any Google Search Console set up on your account. I'm going to hit start now. Again, you can see that there's two ways to verify: the domain level, which is what we're going to do, and the URL prefix level. If you look at the diagrams too, it kind of explains it, where the domain you're verifying at the top level, which you always want a domain verify if you can. That's at the higher level. That would include any subdomains or anything, and you would really just never have to verify again. Now, sometimes the URL prefix method is useful. So if, let's say, you're working with somebody and the store owner, maybe you're a marketer or SEO person, or you're doing something with the store owner, and they give you access to their website, but they don't really know who set up their DNS and who has access to the domain. I mean, it does happen, right? People don't necessarily keep track of this, or maybe they had somebody set it up and they don't remember, or it just, whatever. And you just need to check something real quick. So if you have access to the website itself, like where it's hosted, like whether it's Shopify, like an e-commerce store, or Wix or Squarespace or WordPress or whatever, if you have access to the website itself, you can put some code there, or use Google Analytics, or use some other verification method to be able to, quickly get into Google Search Console without needing to go through the DNS route, which is typically you wouldn't have access to that. Very few people will for a given organization. So yeah, this is more flexible, allows multiple verification methods, but again, it would only be that URL. So if your URL that you verified was shop.mystore.com, for example, well then like blog.mystore.com is not going to be included in that. Right. So anyhow, we're going to do the domain method. You should do that, like I said, if you have the option to. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to put in one of our domains, pushanalytics.net, and I'm going to hit continue. Okay. So now it comes up. It tells you, gives you this piece of code here, which you're going to need to copy into your DNS provider. And they give you a bunch of options, if you want instructions for whatever provider, but I mean, any DNS provider, it just gives you like the general instructions, which is really just copy this into a TXT record on your DNS, which we'll go and show right now. So your domain name provider is whoever you bought your domain from, and unless you transferred it, but it's whoever you bought your domain from. So that could be GoDaddy, it could be Namecheap, or whatever other domain provider. You're going to need to log in there. For this particular domain, we have it hosted on Namecheap. So I'm going to come here, log in, under Advanced DNS Settings, and I'm going to add a new record. And it's going to ask me right here what type of record I want to add. TXT record. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to save. And the host is the website. And I'm going to save. And that's it. Okay. Now we're gonna, check if the verification worked. Now it does take time. It's not instant. Sometimes you can get lucky and it can be right away. So it will take some time because domain records take time to propagate. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this for a second until that verifies, and I'll come back. All right, we're back. So that took about 1 minute. Which is relatively fast, but it can take some time for the DNS settings to propagate, depending on where you are, and how you're accessing it. So it can take time, but usually it doesn't take that long. So we're back. So now it said, hey, ownership verified, and the ownership is verified through that domain record. And now we can go ahead and go to the property and check. But I'm going to go ahead here and click done, and that's it. Very simple. So remember. You need to just come here, paste the verification code, and for some places you might need to type @ which means your whole domain. So you might need to type that depending on your DNS provider. One other thing I want to show is in the case that you have Google Domains, which is a newer domain provider. So we have another domain here, pushanalytics.io. This is on Google Domains, and this account currently has access to it. In case you have Google Domains, you're going to hit continue. And you don't actually need to verify it. So this just verified by itself because Google detected that you do have ownership of the domains on Google Domains. So it just automatically gave it to you without having you go through the verification process. So that is one thing. If you have Google Domains, it's a little bit easier. But all in all, it's a pretty easy process regardless. And we hope you benefited from this and had a good time. You can subscribe to our channel if you want more stuff on marketing and just different tools that you're using. And we'll have some links in the link below, and let us know if there's any questions, comments, or anything else. Thank you very much.